Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go over and do a 90-degree drop cheek elbow. So like so. We'll be working with a 4x4 square to another 4x4 square. And we're going to give it a 2.5 inch drop. So from here down 2.5 inches like so. And we're going to give it a 3-inch throat. So let's see. So like so, 3 inches. And by the time we get done, we'll be producing these patterns to make this. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, let's go ahead and make a vertical and horizontal line to make a 90-degree. Okay, so we're going to get or make our throat at 3 inches. So 1, 2, 3. And it's going to be a 4x4 square. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, put our sharp point on our compass on our 3-inch throat. Or sharp point on vertical and horizontal lines meet. And then make your throat. We're going to open it up to our 4-inch. And make our heel. Alright, so that is 3 inches plus another 4 would make 7 inches. Okay, now let's go ahead and divide this in half. And line up your ruler from here to this so that we can get this divided evenly. Alright, so we found 6 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go ahead and label those accordingly. So this will be point A, B, C, D, E, and then F. Okay, let's go ahead and get a dotted line. And this is just to show that that's going to be your creases or your fold marks. Alright, perfect. So that's what we got. Okay, so now that we have this, let's go ahead and get a box made so that we can make the pattern for both the heel and the throat. So we're going to go ahead and do the pi formula. So what we have here is 7 inches total. So 7 inches, and if you times it by 2, times 2 equals 14 inches. So that's going to be a 14-inch diameter circle. Now we're going to do the pi formula off of that. So times 3.1416 equals 44 inches. So that 14-inch diameter circle has 44 inches in length. But since we're only going to do a quarter of that, we're going to go ahead and divide that by 4 equals, so 14 inches times 3.1416 equals 44, and then divided by 4 equals 11 inches. So what that's saying is that we have a length from this point all the way to this end at 11 inches. So we're going to go ahead and make a horizontal line at 11 inches. Okay. So 11 inches right around there. And then as far as our height, well, it's going to be 4 inches from here to here, and then we're going to drop it 2.5 inches down. So that'll make a total of 6 inches or 6.5 inches in height. So we're going to go about 6.5 inches. Okay, so let's get our 6.5 inches first with our compass. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So right around there, I think. Okay. Strike an arc there. And let's go ahead and get 11 inches on our horizontal line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then in the same position that we got our 6.5 inches in height, we're going to go ahead and transfer it here. We're going to open this up to now 11 inches. And put it on this corner and strike an arc. Okay, so now we have our box made. Let's go ahead and let's get some lines going so that we can make our pattern for the heel first. So we know that we're going to go 4 inches from here and then drop 2.5 inches. So we're going to do the same thing from here. Go down 4 inches and we should be left with 2.5 inches right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is 1, 2.5. And then the same thing here, since we're going to drop it down and it's going to start or end right here 4 inches. So we'll go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should be the points. So let's go ahead and transfer that. Make some lines. And then do the same thing here. And there's a pattern. So if everything was made correctly, this pattern should fit here. And that is our heel. So that's pretty much it for that. I'll quickly demonstrate. So as you can see, this wraps all the way around like so, and that's your heel. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the throat. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We have 3 inches right here. So we're going to go 3 inches, and if you times it by 2, times 2 equals 6 inches. So that'll be a 6-inch diameter circle. Now we're going to go ahead and do the pi formula off of that. So times 3.1416 equals 18 7/8. So that 6-inch diameter circle has a stretch length of 18 7/8. But since we're only going to want 1/4 of that, we're going to go ahead and divide that by 4. Equals 4 11/16. So that's telling us that we need a length from here to this point at 4 11/16. So let's go ahead and do that here. One, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Same thing here on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now that we got these 2 points, let's go ahead and do a vertical line. Alright, so the same thing like this as the heel is going to apply for the throat. So we're going to start from here 4 inches and then drop down 2.5 inches. So we're going to start from here, measure 4 inches down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we can go ahead and do this deal. Same thing here on the top. And there it is. And that should be the throat. So perfect, right? And let me just quickly demonstrate. This goes right here. Pretty simple. Okay, so now let's go ahead and finish off by getting the cheek for the top and the bottom. So I just want to quickly explain or mention that, I don't know if you mentioned on the previous video or on the full length or in-depth video, since we're going to be doing a square to square at even size, in most cases for this type of lesson, you're just going to go ahead and do the layout that is going to work for both the top and the bottom. Things will change once you start doing different shape and size for both ends, and that means that we're going to have to be doing both the top and the bottom cheeks independently. But in this case, it's just going to be a simple lesson, so we're just going to go ahead and do it so that we can just make it so that it'll work for both the top and the bottom. So looking at how you see it right now at an elevation view, if you really think about it, the only changes that happen are from this point and up, or in this case from this right side, from the top down 1.5 inches. So if you can imagine, there's going to be a baseline right here. That's all we're going to concentrate. So what I'm trying to get to is I'm going to go ahead and convert this box into what I call a multi-true length triangle box, and that's going to help us determine what the true length points are for every single point that we have here. Okay, so let's go ahead and establish a baseline from this point to here. So this should be 2.5 inches, so 1, 2.5. So we'll do the same thing here on the top. 1, 2.5. Okay, so now we have a baseline right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this point A and B, because if you see it, this point here, this height is shared by both A and B. So we're going to put A and B. And then this high point here is shared by both letters D and E. So we're going to go ahead and put D and E. And then the last are these two right here. Both C and F are on the same elevation view, as you can see. So what we're going to do is, since this is split in half, we're also going to go ahead and split this in half as well. So 2.5 inches divided by 2 is 1.25. So right around there. Same thing on this end, 1.25. And let's go ahead and establish a baseline for both C and F elevation letters. Okay, so this point here is going to be for F and C. So I'm going to put here C and F. Okay, now that we have that, now we're going to go ahead and transfer or make some triangulation transfers from this to our multi-true length triangle box. So we're going to go ahead and start with our 7-step process here, but in this case for now we're going to go ahead and use steps 1 and 5. So step 1 is saying AB is true length. So we really don't need to do anything there because AB is a true length, meaning that we're when we start doing the initial starting point to make our pattern, A and B are just going to be true length. So in this case, it's going to be 4-inch line. So you can skip that. Skip step 1. Step 2 is saying triangulate AC and BC to get C. So triangulate A and C, or C to A. We're going to open it up to A here. I'm going to lock it in place like so. And then since it starts with AC, we're going to start it on elevation letter A, swing it over, strike an arc. We're going to call this AC. And then we need to triangulate BC. So B to C. I'm going to lock it in place. And also start it on elevation letter B. Swing it over. And we're going to call this BC. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3 is AD and CD to find D. So let's triangulate A and D. And I'll lock it in place like so. And we're going to put it on A, elevation letter A, strike an arc, and we're going to call this AD. And then we need to triangulate CD. So C to D for step 3. I'm going to lock it in place like so. And you're going to go ahead and put it on C, elevation letter C. Swing it over. Hopefully you guys can see that. And we're going to call this CD. Okay. Now step 4 is saying DE is true length, so we really don't need to do anything there. That's the same thing as step 1, which is AB. So we'll skip that portion, but we do need to triangulate CE to try to find E. So C to E. I'm going to lock it in place like so. And now put your sharp point on C. You guys can see that. And we're going to go ahead and strike an arc. And it's really close to DE. But we're going to mark this as C and E. Okay, so now that we have CE, step 5 is AF and DF to try to find F. So we're going to go ahead and triangulate AF and DF. And if everything was divided evenly, they should match pretty close. So we'll go ahead and put it here on elevation letter A. Strike an arc. And this should be AF. And the same thing would apply for DF, because it should be the same length. So we're going to put it up on D, elevation letter D, and strike an arc. And we're going to call this DF. So just like I mentioned on the previous video for this drop cheek, both AF and DF should be the same. So really not necessary to write this down, as long as you can remember this, that AF and DF should be equal distance. You can just mark it on one of these elevation letters, either A or D. Okay, so now that we have that, now that we have our triangulations on our multi-trillion triangle box, now we can go and begin by transferring this information onto our pattern. So let's go ahead and begin and do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start by making a true length, which is going to be step 1, A and B. So in this case, it's going to be a 4-inch vertical line. I erased this part because since we already established the heel and the throat, I'm just making space so that we can start doing the pattern for our 90-degree drop cheek elbow. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by doing step 1, and that is going to be our true length vertical line at 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and start from here, right around there. Okay, so 4 inches. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be point A, and this will be point B. So that's step 1. Step 1 is done. Okay, now let's go ahead and do step 2. Step 2 is AC and BC will find us C. So let's go ahead and go to our multi-tooling triangle box, and let's go ahead and do AC first. So where's AC? AC is right here. Put your sharp point on AC, and then open up your pencil point to elevation letter C. We're going to lock it in place like so. And we're going to put our sharp point on A. And we know that C is going to be somewhere around here. So we're going to go ahead and strike a random arc. Okay, now we need a BC. So where's BC? Here's BC right there. Sharp point on BC. And open up your pencil point to elevation letter C. Now lock it in place like so. Put your sharp point on B now. And crisscross the previous arc. And now you found C. Pretty simple, right? Okay, now let's do step 3. Step 3 is AD and CD to find D. So let's go and look for AD. Here's AD. And it's telling us to go to D. So put your pencil point on elevation letter D. I'm going to lock it in place like so. Put your sharp point on A. And we know D is going to be somewhere around over here. So go ahead and do a random arc. Okay, now we need CD. So where is CD? CD is right here. Sharp point on CD. And then open up your pencil point to elevation letter D. We're going to lock it in place like so. Sharp point on C. And then crisscross the previous arc. And now you found D. Alright, we're almost there. Now let's go ahead and find E. And that'll be step 4. Now step 4 is a true length, DE. So that's the same thing like A and B. So we just need to do a random 4-inch arc. So since I know that this is 4 inches, 4 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and use this. Like so. I'm going to lock it in place. I'm going to put my sharp point now on D, and I'm going to do a random arc or 4-inch arc like so. And then we need to go and look for CE. So here's CE right here. So put sharp point on C and then open up your pencil point to elevation letter E. I know it's really close to CD, but it's not. There it is. Now you put sharp point on C, crisscross the previous arc, and now you found D. I'm sorry, E. Okay, we're almost there. Now let's go ahead and look for F. So step 5 is AF and DF will find us F. So just like we said, these two should be equal length, so we can use either or. So I'm just going to go ahead and use AF, A, and then open up to letter or elevation letter F. I'm going to lock it in place like so. As you can see, it should be the same for this one. I'm going to start it on D. Do a random arc like so. Sharp point on A. And crisscross the previous arc. And now that is F. Alright, cool. So we have all 6 points. Now let's go ahead and make our throat and the heel. So we're going to go start doing some bisecting. So Let me open this up a little bit more. So in most cases, bisecting A, F, and D throat should you can use the same pivot point to do the heel, but it's always good practice to do them independently, just in case you're a little off on finding the points. So this is bisecting AF and DF. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and run a ruler from here to here. And make a line. Same thing on this one. Make a line, and that is your pivot point. So let's go ahead and put your sharp point on your pivot point. And then open it up to either A, F, or D, or E. I'm sorry, D. And they should match, so you can go ahead and make your throat. Okay, so like I said, you can use, in some cases, depending on how this is laid out, you can use the same pivot point to do the heel. But I'm also going to go ahead and do this independently just to verify to see if it lands in the same pivot point. So I'm going to go ahead and start bisecting these. So hopefully you guys can see through this mess. Oops, it moved on me. Okay, same pivot point. This one is a little off. I'll show it on a close-up on the video, but it's kind of close. I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, but again, like I said, it's always good practice to do them independently just in case you're a little off. And let's go ahead and do our heel. And there it is. And that's it, guys. Peace.